Thank you for listening. This is Tamara Eastridge with Top Shelf Voice, auditioning for Dark Remenats. An hour later, Gabe jogged toward his dark sedan. The well-lit parking lot was packed with extra vehicles tonight, so Gabe had been forced to park on the far side of the lot, which was much darker than the area near the building. He sighed. The box he brought for Sean was heavy. It would be a long hike back, lugging 30 pounds of files. Using his keyless entry, he popped the trunk in the darkness and leaned in, glad his trunk had a dim orange light in it. A soft, cool wind blew through the lot, ruffling his shirt and bringing the scent of a rank dumpster with it. Psst. With a frown, he straightened up, his heart beating faster. Had that been a whisper? Or just an imagined movement? They were deep in the city here, but one stray animal, especially cats, were common sights. Gabe was the only human in the parking lot as far as he could tell. Deciding he imagined it, he reached for the box again. Psst. Hey you, over here. Snapping upright, Gabe put a hand on his gun, wondering what awaited him in the shadows. The voice had come from far off to his left, but the whisper made it hard to pinpoint. He couldn't even tell if it was masculine or feminine. 20 feet from his car, he stopped. Over here. The whisper came again. By the dumpster. Gabe's eyes found the blue, industrial-sized dumpster in the shadowy corner of the lot, probably what he smelled earlier. It was situated at the mouth of a narrow alley that ran to an intersecting street in the distance. Gabe squinted, trying to make out shapes in the darkness. A silhouette, darker than the surrounding murk, stepped out from behind the dumpster. Small in stature, the figure was either a woman or a youth. Baggy, shapeless clothing gave no hint to the contours beneath. He couldn't see long hair either, but when the figure looked toward the precinct building, the distant lights flashed off her eyes bluer than he'd ever seen. They were electric, and Gabe wondered if they could possibly be real.
Do you need help?
Gabe asked, raising his voice to be sure the figure would hear him. I need to talk to you. The harsh whisper came again. The figure kept looking up and down the alley, as though afraid to be seen. Come over here. Half amused, half wary, Gabe put his hand more conspicuously on his gun.
Why don't you just step into the light for me?
No, I can't be seen talking to the cops. With a grunt, Gabe took a few steps closer to the dumpster. He wasn't about to walk into the dark alley on faith that this person wouldn't harm him. The precinct was only a few hundred feet away, and Gabe was a decent-sized man, but there was no guarantee the shadowy figure wasn't armed. When he stopped short of the alley, the figure breathed out in frustration, looked up and down the alley again, and finally emerged, stepping in front of the dumpster. The light was faint, but he could see her more clearly now. It was a woman, though not a very feminine-looking one. Black baggy sweats and matching hoodie were an effective camouflage against the night. He supposed that was the idea. The sleeves of her hoodie were pushed above her elbows, not surprising considering the warmth of the night. And even in the dim light, he could see small, inflamed puncture marks in the crook of her elbow, many with dark, ugly lines. No doubt, a sign of inflamed veins leading out from them. Black specky haircut in a way one usually only saw on grade school boys did nothing to show her gender either. Her face might have been pretty if it wasn't so pale. Dark circles under her eyes and gaunt cheeks showed poor health, though her face glistened as though she recently been sweating. It made her skin look thick and splotchy.
Are you all right?
Gabe asked. Is this the precinct participating in the raid on Carmichael District? Gabe blinked. How on earth could she know something like that? The woman studied his face before nodding. I take it that's a yes, she said briskly. You've got to put a stop to it. Gabe's mouth hung open for a moment. For a junkie, she picked up on body language quickly. Suddenly, lying seemed like a great idea.
Listen, ma'am, I'm not sure what you mean. Anything of that nature is police business.
She waved her hand as though it was of no consequence. Yeah, you don't have to confirm anything. Just stop the raid.
Ma'am?
It's a trap. They're going to ambush you. Gabe stared at her.
Who?
She let out her breath in a gust of exasperation. The gang, Sons of Ares, in Carmichael District, they know you're coming. Everyone in the Slip Mire seems to.
How do you?
I don't know what they're planning, but you can bet it will be messy. They're better prepared than you can imagine. They hate cops, so either they'll try to kill you or do some really gory damage. The Sons of Ares aren't exactly known for being cuddly. Gabe laughed in surprise more than anything else.
Listen, I don't know how you know all this, but I'm gonna need you to come into the station and speak with my superiors.
No! He hadn't moved toward her, but she danced back several steps as though he had, only stopping when she backed up against the dumpsters. If that was an option, I wouldn't be stalking creepily in the parking lot, she said dryly. He did step toward her this time.
Ma'am.
No! She retreated further, stepping down around the dumpster. I came to warn you, and I have. What you do with the information is on you. Gabe stared at her, utterly at a loss as how to react. Just do it, she hissed, or all your cop buddies are going to die tonight. She spun on her toe and started down the alley. Anger flared in Gabe's chest, and he lunged forward, covering the remaining distance between them in 2 quick strides and grabbing her arm. No one threatened the lives of his fellow officers and just walked away. Even as his fingers closed around her arm, she swung around, throwing a punch. He ducked it, easily grasping both her wrists in his hands. Let go of me! Her insanely blue eyes, only inches away now, oozed defiance.
Who are you?
He kept his voice firm, controlled.
What's your name?
I said, let go of me! She struggled fiercely. When she couldn't free her hands, she started kicking, landing a solid blow to his shin.
Listen!
Gabe growled through gritted teeth.
Stop!
She obeyed, regarding him warily, her eyes darting back and forth again. He gazed down into her face and took a deep, calming breath. She looked like a Mirelling. People who lived on the street there had criminal mindsets. They needed positive encouragements to keep them talking.
I'm glad you came to tell me, but you can't just make allegations like this and then disappear.
Why not? She growled. Gabe let out his breath in frustration.
Because I have no way of knowing if you're telling me the truth or where you got your information from.
And if you drag me into that police station, you're gonna get me killed, she hissed. Now let me go! He did this time, and so suddenly she stumbled backward a few steps before righting herself. When she straightened, she walked backward away from him. I'm sorry, she said more quietly. It's all I can do.
Gabe?
The voice came from several rows over, nearer to the building. When the woman heard it, she spun on her toe and tore down the alley, disappearing into the shadows. She was fast for having so little height.
Gabe! Over here, Tyke.
Tyke Burrell made his way to where Gabe stood. His yellow hair looked like straw with the fluorescent lights of the station blazing behind him.
What are you looking at?
Tyke asked, following Gabe's gaze down the now empty alley.
Nothing,
Gabe murmured, before turning to his fellow detective.
What are you doing out here?
Tyke shrugged.
Sean said you were bringing in stuff from your car. Thought you might need some help.
Gabe sighed, running a hand through his hair.
Gabe? What's wrong, man? You can help me with the files, but I need to talk to Sean. Now. We have a problem.